What's good? It's Wood. Please like the video, subscribe to the channel if you love music like I do. So I think I just saw the Donda 2 rollout on StemPlayer. That's the exclusive place where you had to like tune in to see Kanye perform basically Donda 2, his new album that he's releasing today, 2/22/2022. And he had been teasing the date, and so often we get Kanye album release date teases that then get pushed back. It looks like I think he's gonna stick with this one. Now, I don't know if he's actually released it. I don't know too much about the use of the StemPlayer. I know that he was selling it during the whole live stream, and I think that the idea behind it is that the sound quality is really good. I remember that was one of the things that Neil Young didn't like about Spotify. It's not why he left, but he's always... Neil Young started his own streaming platform to get high resolution sound. And so I don't know if that is the purpose of this Kanye West StemPlayer, but I know that he is essentially, or at least he's professing that he's taking power out of the industry's powers that be's hands and instead controlling the terms of his own album releases and probably getting paid. I don't exactly know the economics of what he is doing right now, but Kanye West has been about, he's been about too many things to really get into in this video. I just wanted to talk about the little bit of Donda 2 that I think I heard today. And, you know, the event was interesting because at one point he got mad at the technical glitch to the point where he throws his microphone and it sounds like the mic just, hits the floor. And correct me if I'm wrong here, but I don't think we got any more vocals from Kanye for the rest of the performance. Now, this was a pretty star-studded affair. He had a lot of featured guests, including some guests that he has had some, at least mild issues with. Did we see Kid Cudi? I know we saw Soulja Boy, and I know that they've been back and forth, and Soulja Boy felt slighted that he was excluded from Kanye West's Donda 1 release. But Soulja Boy made an appearance. Migos made an appearance. DaBaby and Marilyn Manson towards the end of the show performed the Jail remix. But yeah, a lot of the beats I really liked. There were a lot of different movements in this little theatrical presentation, which wasn't as polished as a concert. If you were expecting this whole thing to go off without a hitch, no, there were several. But I also appreciate the attention to detail that went into the visuals here. You had the lighting, the colors on the church. You have the different formations of officers during jail, the different choir injections of sound and music and the different use of them. Jesus is Lord, and the ha 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 ha, the same kind of thing used in Nas's Hate Me Now, that classical choir sound. Well, he uses it to repeat the phrase Jesus is Lord. He said something about one of his bars was we stopped rocking Louis V when after Virgil passed, and he repeated this line dozens of times to where I'm thinking damn, if I'm Louis V, Kanye's always trying to make a statement, whether people agree with the statement or not. He always feels like there is some purpose, some mission, and he is driven pretty heavily by that. And so there were a lot of interesting parts. He had a little vocal sample of Kim Kardashian saying, I married the greatest rapper on earth or something like that, and he has blessed me with 4 kids. Basically, it was a little snippet from, I believe, her SNL monologue. And, there was a portion, there was a new song, it appears, that is basically talking about how his love, he's lost his love. Basically, his love is in the arms of another. So many vulnerable points to this whole presentation. Some of them were more braggadocious. He had the more the flossing types of songs that were, trap style, pretty upbeat, a lot of different interesting beats. I like the production on this Donda album a lot. I'd be curious to look at the liner notes to see, who he's worked with on all of these songs. But it was a pretty rough presentation in terms of the execution in a lot of this. He forgot a lot of his rhymes from songs on Donda 2 and from Donda 1. But I think that when he threw that mic in frustration because his vocals cut out, so you would hear this mega beat and the accompanying vocals for a lot of different parts. So some of the parts that he's rapping are also accompanied by the studio recorded version of the voice, so they're, you know, sounding off in tandem, which also led to some awkward mistimed performances from his guests, because the performers were hearing one thing and the crowd was hearing another, because of the delay between what's coming out of the speaker and what's going into the artist's ear and then what they're kicking out. So it sounded like one rhyme was on top of the other, just off by like a half a second or something. So that was kind of, you know, awkward. The song with Playboi Carti and I think Fivio Foreign, was that the Off the Grid? One of the last songs, if not the last song they performed. Yeah, it was like totally off time. But earlier in the night, I think it was when they were doing the Jail remix, which they did a lot more of the Donda 1 songs after a lot of the Donda 2 was premiered. But yeah, he brought out Marilyn, Manson, and DaBaby for that, and they all kind of had their, you know, stage moment, and DaBaby spit a pretty indignant verse. But yeah, there was a point where there was a technical glitch that cut the vocals out, so you're hearing like the loud beat, but you can't hear Kanye's vocals. He was just frustrated because that wasn't the first time that happened, and then he threw the mic. And there were kind of like a lot of rough spots like that. Not as rough as him throwing the mic, and I don't think that mic recovered. I think that he was rendered non-vocal for the rest of the performance. Correct me if I'm wrong, but he did like the new song City of Gods, or the one with Alicia Keys and Fivio Foreign. But Alicia Keys, she was singing her butt off, but it was like she was singing, and I think that she was supposed to have some extra vocal coming in from the speakers, because some of the vocals she was singing sounded like pretty raw, and I thought it was beautiful. But a lot of like I don't know if it was the intent to have her raw vocal exposed, and I don't mean exposed in the negative sense. I just mean like displayed, just the naked vocal. Again, I like the sound of that strain. It sounded like she was straining a little bit. It sounded imperfect, but in a pretty nice way. But then it sounded like she kind of pulled back and just kind of didn't sing for a minute until that vocal accompaniment from the speakers came back in to polish the voice as she would continue to sing. Tell me if you caught the same thing. I don't know if that was intentional, non-intentional, but yeah, she performed. I thought Fivio Foreign had a really nice performance in the different tracks he was featured in. Pusha T came out for a pretty cool song that I think is on Donda 2. They had a lot of like kind of incomplete sounding songs where a lot of the songs felt like interludes, because he would either rap a verse or just continue to let the beat play. And I don't know if that was because of any technical glitch or if that was just a lack of prep or just a lack of execution. I do know that Kanye, at least seemingly, forgot some of his lyrics in different parts or in different songs, and so he would just kind of mumble along with the beat and kind of do it in a melodic enough way where it's passable and you're still kind of appreciating the premiere of like a new song. It happened with a couple of the Donda 2 songs. I mean, look, if you're like a hungry rapper who's just coming up and stuff, and you're writing your 16s, you're memorizing every single verse, and it's like all of your lines feel very close to you, and you have like this intimate relationship with each and every one of those words, because like you're practicing it like in 20 different ways, and you're trying to memorize it front and back to where you could say your verses in your sleep. Kanye's got so many verses on so many songs, and his output just over the past like year or two has been pretty intense. Like, I wouldn't hold it against him if he hasn't memorized all the verses on all the songs on this brand new album. But I did like a lot of the production. I did catch some pretty interesting bars, some clever bars, a lot of like rhymes that were referencing his relationship. Like, he said one thing about, and it was kind of a cold, or some will say maybe insensitive or in poor taste type of lines. But he said something about when I gave you my semen, I swear I heard God, the voice of Morgan Freeman, or something like that. But yeah, he had some clever rhymes in here, but it did sound like a lot of the vocal performances on some of these tracks were kind of, you know, I'll spit a phrase here, execute a phrase here and here and here, and then I'll just kind of leave it blank and just let the beat ride a little bit. They weren't fully executed songs. But yeah, we'll see what happens, what the overall reception is of the Donda album. I appreciate the effort that did go into this visual live performance rollout. It wasn't perfect, but I mean, damn, like, Kanye seems like he's everywhere at once at some times, and on Twitter, or as of late, Instagram. You know what I mean? Like, he just seems kind of nonstop. And I mean, politics aside, his day-to-day activity or day-to-day engagement with the public through social media, through, hey, this is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to do this and I'm going to do this. And then actually executing on some of it, or at least showing that you are trying to execute on all these different things. It's not too dissimilar from what we experienced when Trump was in office, when every day it seemed like there were multiple things said, so many things that were just soaking up headlines and soaking up a lot of the nation's oxygen, attention span. Kanye has been relentless, from trying to get his marriage back through several different means to having these public disagreements with Kid Cudi or Soulja Boy or whoever, Pete Davidson issue, just everything that's going on. Look, I wouldn't be surprised if, again, he hasn't memorized all of his verses to all of these new songs. But let me know what you thought about what you heard from what's supposed to be Donda 2 and what you expect out of Donda 2. Do you expect this to be kind of a half-baked style album because it's coming so quickly on the heels of Donda 1, which, I mean, it had over 20 songs. It was an immensely long album, and now he's got Donda 2 coming out. I mean, say what you want about him, but at this stage of his career, he's extremely prolific. I don't know if that is how he is staying half sane. You know, I just watched like the first episode of this Genius trilogy, the Kanye documentary on Netflix, and I'm going to do another video about that. But yeah, it's just a handful. Anytime you're dealing with Kanye West, I heard a lot of music I did like. I heard a lot of stuff that sounded like interludes, sounded half-baked. Some of the beats were really nice. I like some of the samples and sounds that were used. You know, a lot of the guest artists on this project and who came out to perform their songs from Donda 1, all of them brought it. It's like, how can you not bring it if you're featured on a Kanye West song? You know what I mean? Playboi Carti, he killed it. Just that raw punk energy. But yeah, let me know what you think so far of Donda 2, what you thought of Donda 1, what you thought of this StemPlayer performance, this style of rollout. And is anybody going to pay the money for this actual StemPlayer? And over or under, would you give it 6 months, more or less, that Kanye will release Donda 2 on all other platforms, on Apple Music, on Spotify, everywhere else? Like, I don't know what his plans are for the economics of this StemPlayer or for this Donda 2 album. I don't know how stubborn he's going to be with getting it listened to and consumed on his terms. I appreciate his ambitious efforts, as always. But yeah, let me know what you think. I'm going to weigh in shortly on that Kanye West Genius documentary. Jack Harlow also had an appearance here. It was kind of a subdued style verse, but line by line, it was pretty clever and pretty on point how he kind of articulated different things. But yeah, let me know what you think in the comments. Like the video, subscribe to the channel if you love music like I do. I'm Woog. Thanks for tuning in.